新しい元号は令和であります。
So a new Japanese era is dawning upon us from next month. The Nikkei proudly showing the new name, starting from May 1st here in Japan, Reiwa. That is what the new Japanese calendar name will be, Reiwa. So let's go over what this is and what people should expect. For those of you who aren't really familiar, Japan uses two calendars. They use the Gregorian calendar, which the world always uses, and they use a imperial calendar, which was modernized in 1912 with the Meiji era. And every era changes upon the death, or in this case, the abdication of the emperor. So the emperor, Akihito, is abdicating at the end of this month on the 30th. And on the 1st, the new emperor, Naruhito, will take over. And that era will be now called Reiwa. Now, let's go over this kanji. Reiwa, right? Reiwa. So, as Mr. Suga here indicated, nobody expected this to happen. A lot of people were thinking of An, like the kanji An for Prime Minister Abe's last name, would be a contender, but no. That is not the kanji that they're going to be using for the era name. It's going to be Reiwa. So translated literally, you got Meide no Rei, which Meide is order, like a command from a government official, from a king, from a military person. Meide and then Wa. Now you might be thinking, this is some sort of pseudo-fascist. We command you to be peaceful. And that Wa, actually, this Wa is also used as a representation of Japan, right? Heiwa no Wa is peace. So you might be thinking this might be commanding peace, which sort of sounds fascist if you want to think about it. Kind of harkens back to the 1930s and 40s when Japan was fascist. But some translations popped up that this is sort of like joyous peace, harmonious peace, kind of a promulgation of peace, a sort of wish for the world to be more peaceful. That's what some people have been thinking. Now, I pulled up this article from the Associated Press on my phone here. I will put this top image next to me right here if you want to take a look at it. But it says, Japanese government has unveiled the era name will be called Reiwa, or Pursuing Harmony. Now this is the first time they chose this name out of a Japanese text. They usually choose them out of Chinese text, and as a pretty prominent thump to China, they decide, we're going to use the Manyoshu, which is one of the most well-known Japanese traditional texts. Now everybody in Japan, when they're young and in their school years, they study that. It's pretty interesting that they chose the Reiwa from the Manyoshu. Now they use these names for calendars, and sometimes they abbreviate it with an R. Well, they're going to be abbreviated with an R. So for example, R1 is this year from May 1, R2 will be next year. So the Olympics will be held on R2 or Reiwa 2, 2020, right? Now my birthday is 1991, that's H3, Heisei 3, right? So that's how that works. So basically the era name is pretty interesting how they decided to go about this because, well, like I said, no one really expected it to be like this. I remember I was watching it yesterday with my friends. I was watching the announcement. And one, the Twitch chat was kind of funny. Everybody was like kind of spamming the Twitch chat, and then after the announcement was made, everyone was like, "What the hell? What does this mean?" Well, let me write it down for you. Let me get my blackboard and let's write out Reiwa. Let's go over it a little bit. Now I am horrible with kanji, so forgive me for a second here while I attempt to write this out. So it goes like this, and then this. I messed that up already. Actually, this goes down like this, a hook like this, and then like that. That's Rei, and then Wa is. Yeah, I gotta make sure I get this right. Reiwa, right? So get used to writing this if you're going to be doing calendar stuff, or if you decide to get married in the next few years. This will be your new era name to correspond to 2019 onwards, right? So what do I think about it? I mean, it sounds cool. It might be a little bit difficult for foreigners to pronounce because The R in Rei. Let me write this out for you as well. R in Japanese, everyone, that makes fun of Asian people for mixing R and L, but R in Japanese is actually sort of like a hard D sounds, like Reiwa. Like Reiwa, right? So it might be difficult for foreigners to pronounce just a little bit, but actually it's pretty easy to write and it's pretty easy to read. So I mean, it's not a bad name in terms of its sound, right? I'm sorry, I just kicked my camera there because this thing's really close to me. But what do I think about the meaning? I don't know, it's hard to transliterate into English. Commanding peace, joyous peace, pursuing peace. I don't know, a lot of people have different takes on this, right? So, I mean, it's gonna be very interesting to see. This whole imperial transition in the next month and a half or so, and even up until the enthronement of the new emperor in October, is going to be a very interesting time to be here in Japan. I mean, I think people who really are interested in the culture of Japan should follow this closely, because this is probably, in my situation, probably a once-in-a-lifetime event, if not when Naruhito retires. There's going to be another issue right there, is there's only one other there's two other people actually after Naruhito takes the throne. It's going to be his brother and then his brother's son, right? Hisahito's, what is he, 12, 13? I think he's 12 years old. That's it. After the imperial, that's the imperial line right there. We just got two people, right? So what happens next is going to be very interesting to see if, let's say Hisahito decides he doesn't want to have kids, or he only has daughters, right? Well, there goes your imperial family line, right? Now, there's a lot of Republican sentiment, not a lot, but there is some Republican sentiment here in Japan to sort of do away with the monarchy or do away with the era names. But I think of it as something that's like uniquely Japanese, something that, Japan does take a good deal of pride on, and I think it is a part of the Japanese cultural identity. So I have no, there's no reason to get rid of this sort of stuff. I mean, it's a little bit of complication, but who cares, right? It's a part of Japan. And, nobody's being forced to write out the name Reiwa as the name for the year, right? I mean, if you want to write 2019, go ahead and write 2019. So that's my take on all of this. It's pretty interesting. Oh, I just dropped my marker on the floor. If you want me to talk more about the Japanese imperial family and stuff like that, I can make a whole series of videos on this, because I've delved a lot into the imperial family. And there's this whole chrysanthemum taboo that you're not really supposed to talk about it. Well, the emperor, the current emperor who's retiring at the end of this month, himself broke that taboo. There are reports that he leaked his actual desire to abdicate. He himself, the emperor, was like, hey, he passed some notes to news people. Was like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to retire. I don't want to involve my declining health in people's lives. I want to have my son take over. He's not supposed to do that, outright, because he's against the Constitution, right? Thank you, America, for that. But no. The emperor himself leaked his desire to abdicate to the media, and then the imperial household agency, the imperial family itself, and then the government's like, oh crap, what do we do? So it was like a three-way triangle of like trying to get all over some guy in his 80s who just wants to retire. Let him retire, for God's sake. Especially to the right-wingers here in Japan who are like, they worship this guy as a god. Well, if you really want to listen to this guy's commands, let him retire. And there's also hints that are put out that the imperial family itself wants the women in line for the imperial throne to take the imperial throne, right? They want them to be able to access the throne. And I agree with that as well. It's just how things should be, right? Hashtag gender equality. But that's just my take on it. I could go through this whole system. I mean, even as the imperial accession approaches, I am going to be talking about it more and making a few more videos upon it, because it's very interesting to me. So let me know what you think about Reiwa, the name. Ooh, dark, light. I'm filming this inside of my studio. It is almost evening, and I have no lighting except for the soft boxes that I'm working on right now. I like this setup because it looks pretty cool, right? Let me know what you think about the name, like I said. Let me know what you think about the imperial family. Anything else you want me to talk over? Anything political? I have a background in this sort of stuff. I would love to make more videos about it. And yeah, see you on the next video. Take it easy, Phoenicians.